Good morning, everybody. Lovely to see you here today. And thank you very much, Heath Gunn, for being here and to speak to us, Chief Executive of Enham. So the floor is yours, Heath, if you'd like to carry on. Welcome.
Absolutely. Yeah, good morning. Thank you for inviting me. Pleasure to be in such relaxed company first thing in the morning. I quite like it. It's a nice way to start the day. So yeah, Susan invited me along. I'm going to talk about a couple of topics which are quite diverse. So I'm going to talk to you about Enham Trust and what we do, give you a bit of a flavour of what we do at Enham, and then I'll spend a little bit of time towards the end talking about writing. I'm a published author. I've published 2 crime novels, and I'll come on to them at the end. Susan asked me to talk about that as well, so happy to talk about anything you like in between. So yeah, happy to answer any questions on pretty much any subject you want, as long as it's not football rubbish when it comes to football. Just I suppose a quick sort of history lesson, if you like, about, just in case you don't know that much about Enham. One of the things that I've found since I've been here which is nearly 6 years now, is that if you draw a circle probably 3 miles radius around Enham, people know where we are but don't really know what we do or that much about us, which I think is criminal in terms of the history of the organisation, and the fact that obviously not enough time's been invested in doing things like this and talking to people and letting people know what we do. So Enham Alamein is the village. It was formed about 100 years ago, no, just over 100 years ago, at the end of the First World War, by a gift from the King to support war-wounded soldiers coming back from First World War. So it's sort of the original Help for Heroes, if you like. And it evolved over a number of years and grew into the village that it is now. And as a charity, we're quite unique. We came along as a charity. Enham Trust was formed in 1921, so it's our centenary this year. And we're in quite a unique position in that we own the village that we're based in. So we outright own 85% of Enham Alamein. And then the Alamein part of the name was added after the Second World War, after another gift from the Egyptian government following the Battle of El Alamein, to recognise the work that was done in supporting soldiers coming back from that battle, hence Enham Alamein. So fast forward to sort of the latter part of the last century, sort of 80s and 90s, and the charity really started focusing on the wider disabled community and supporting people not just from a military background or tenants that had sort of grown up through families in the village, but also the wider disability community. And we're now what we would term as a pan-disability organisation. So we support people with a range of disabilities. We support about 6,000 disabled people a year, from Hampshire all the way down to the tip of Plymouth, all the way through the southwest of England. And there's a number of ways we do this. So we support people in terms of their housing, care and employment, broadly, are the 3 banners that we would put that under. We've restructured the organisation completely in the last 4 years. So those banners are things that not only do people inside the organisation understand, but now people outside are starting to understand as well. Because what I found when I first took over as chief exec about 4.5 years ago was that it was a bit muddy, sort of what we do and what we did and what was our actual specialism, sort of how we should focus our energy. So we've restructured completely every department across the organisation and removed the distractions and the things that we shouldn't have been doing that were actually losing us stacks of money. And we've now consolidated the charity down around those 3 aims. And the reason we do this is because these 3 things really sort of hold together in terms of supporting disabled people to be as independent as possible and to live the lives that they choose. And a lot of disability charities sort of talk the talk when it comes to supporting people to be independent, but walking the walk is something very different. And to do that, you've got to have either a hand in all the different aspects of somebody's life to be able to support them when and where they need it, or you've got to be able to have the contacts with other organisations that do. And we're quite fortunate in that we have both of those. So from a housing perspective, as I said, the village comprises of about 275 houses. It's about 120 acres, there or thereabouts. We own lots of farmland that sits around it as well. And there's a mix of accessible homes for people with disabilities. So homes that are adapted in a way that means that they can use them in the way that you or I would use our homes and take things for granted, like half-depth cupboards so that they can reach to the back of cupboards, and work surfaces that lift up and down to make them accessible so that people can work at different heights. There's all kinds of modifications, so automatic doors and some really, really clever stuff. And we've got some adapted homes in the village, and then because the village has evolved over the last sort of 100 years, we've also got quite a big chunk of general needs homes and tenanted properties where people live quite happily and don't really have that much involvement with us as a disability charity, but with their landlord. So once somebody with a disability has a home that meets their needs, what they then want, if you have a conversation with them and see what aspects they want support in, is they want care or support that enables them to be as independent and do the things they want to do with their lives. So we provide support in a number of ways. We've got 3 registered care homes on site at Enham that provide 24-hour wraparound support for people with a range of complex physical and learning disabilities and mental health needs to about 60 people. We then provide support to people in their own homes across the village, across Andover and over in Alton. So it's just over 100 people that we support in those settings. And that's to help people live as independently as they can and to have, I suppose, as much freedom to give them the opportunities they want to exploit in their lives without feeling constrained by the fact they need somebody with them or need something doing for them. So we're there, and we view ourselves as being both supplementary and complementary to somebody's life in as much as we're only around for what they need us to do. And we don't put ourselves at the centre of their lives and say, well, we know best, this is what we're going to tell you need doing. We ask them what they want to do and then work out how to do it. And that can be as straightforward as making a cup of tea, or it can be as complex as how they live in their home, getting a job, or jumping out of an aeroplane, which somebody did last summer. From wheelchair to aeroplane was quite an interesting journey, but he did it and he enjoyed it. So yeah, that care piece evolves into something called information, advice and guidance, where we support people to have people who have a direct payment or personal budget who employ their own care teams. We also support them. So that's sort of the ultimate evolution of care and support, if you like, is supporting somebody to employ their own staff and helping them be a good employer. And we run payroll services and managed accounts for them to help them be good employers and employ their own care teams. Once you speak to people about those aspects and they've got that nailed and they're happy with their home, they're happy with the support that they've got, most people want some kind of meaningful occupation. And whether that's something that's paid employment, or whether it's volunteering, or whether it's something that their strengths lend themselves to and the things that they enjoy doing and they want to do more of. So with that's what leads us to our third strand, which is the employment and skills element of what we do. We do this in a number of ways. So we have a number of social enterprises within Enham. So we have a warehouse essentially called 3PLs, third-party logistics, where we pick and pack and store luxury goods like tea for Fortnum and Masons. We hand pack the gift sets that you see at Christmas. Our guys hand pack those on the production lines. Things for Twinings, Estee Lauder, a local company called Green Brokers. We do quite a lot of their fulfillment work for their Amazon sales. Lots of that stuff gets hand packed, and lots of other customers that the guys there support to fill their orders. That part of the organisation, that business, if you like, that social enterprise, turns over about £1.5 million a year, and about 80% of the people that work on those production lines are disabled. Either they've got a learning disability or a physical disability, and we adapt their working environment to help them have employment and to help them fill the social and economic independence side of their lives and what they want to do. We've got a charity shop, which you may or may not have seen and popped into in the village. And we've got plans to expand those over the next 3 years and to get more charity shops. And I'll come back to the one in the village in a little while. So both of those areas have taken quite a hit over the last year with COVID. We've had lots of staff furloughed and also supported lots of our staff to understand why they were furloughed. Lots of the guys with learning disabilities didn't really understand why we were sending them home, didn't get social distancing. On the day that I actually joined by video call in our boardroom, and got all the staff from the production teams together in the boardroom with their manager, and as they walked in, they grouped in 4s and 5s. This was back in March last year, and I'm sat in my study at home like I am now, just looking, going, "Oh my God, you have no idea. You just don't get it." So there was lots of translation. The government guidance it wasn't in easy read. It wasn't translated, so we had to do that piece of work. So there's lots of support gone on over the last year to help those individuals, one, stay safe, and to help them adjust to furlough, them flexible furlough, and now thankfully back at work. So hopefully we're on an upwards trajectory to help with those social enterprises. We've also got a couple of cafes, and we've got a gardening team that maintains the village. And again, they're supported employment positions, and they're people with a range of disabilities who maintain the whole of Enham, be it grass cutting or planting up nice displays, or the Enham topiary that sits outside the main entrance. They do all of it. We're also a disability confident employer, a disability confident leader rather, and there's 2 strands to that. So not only do we employ, I think it's nearly 30% of our workforce has some kind of declared disability now, out of the 260 staff that we employ. But also we support other employers to employ a more diverse workforce and see the benefits of employing people with disabilities, and also to understand things like reasonable adjustments and access to work and all those things that can help somebody get to work and stay at work. And evidence shows that somebody with a disability is more likely to be at work rather than off sick, which is a common misconception, is that they need more sick time. It's not true. And that things like reasonable adjustments worry employers, quite understandably, because they sound like you've got to spend thousands to help somebody come to work, when actually it could be something as simple as adjusting the height of their screen or having a different chair. There's lots of different adaptations that you could make, and we've got a team that helps employers do that. So that's one of the areas. We've also got an area called Skills to Achieve, where we support people that young people, so that their NEETs is the acronym, so not in employment, education or training, between 16 and 19 years old with some kind of disadvantage that they're working through. Lots of them, like Albury, spent most of their time outside the classroom. So we help them with their functional maths and English and their employability skills. And we do that across Basingstoke, Southampton, Portsmouth and Eastleigh. We've got 4 centres, and we support 200 young people a year to gain those qualifications and then help them into work. And lots of those are looked after children and children in the care system. And then the last strand of the employment element, if you like, is the Kickstart service. So we're a Kickstart host, and we've been working within this government scheme for the last few months. And I think we've allocated 130 places so far. So there's lots of work going on to help young people with and without disabilities in the local area into work. And also that helps us build relationships with employers, which hopefully will also help people that are furthest from the labour market, given the mass of people that have now flooded from the labour market. We need to help them back in again. But what generally happens, and if you look back over history, what's happened is when we've had a spike in unemployment, people with disabilities then move further from the labour market, so they need more help to get in, because employers tend to gravitate towards those without declared disabilities, often through unconscious bias, but it is something that happens, and there's lots of documented evidence to that. So that's the 3 sort of main areas that we support people in. In terms of scale, we turn over about £10.5 million a year. And as I say, we employ about 250, 260 people, and we've got about 50 volunteers that come and regularly volunteer with us. As I touched on at the beginning, this is our centenary. So we turned 100 on the 16th of February this year. And there aren't that many charities that make it to 100. For me personally, it's quite an honour to be in the chair that I'm in. I class myself, and I've actually got a poster on a framed poster on my wall in my office that the guys made for me. It says Guardians of the Charity. So I view myself as a guardian of the charity because we're only around for a short time, and my job is to leave it in a better state than I found it in, and make sure that it moves forward to support more disabled people. And the reason that we did the restructure and the turnaround was because we were losing about £1.5 million a year, and now we're starting to make a small surplus. So that journey to turn it around and make it sustainable was really my mission, to get it to a place where we can now grow and start supporting more disabled people. We can start building again. We can start developing properties, which is hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years, we'll start building properties, and you'll start seeing things like Bradbury Place in Andover, which are the 8 flats that sit just on the roundabout there in Andover, near the BY's insurance building. So that's the kind of thing that we need to be developing, is the accessible homes for people. Because by definition of somebody having a disability doesn't mean they want to live in rural England, a leafy village. Lots of people with disabilities want to live in town centres. So as a disability charity, I believe it's incumbent on us to help them do that and find a way to utilise our assets to build in town centres. So that's some of our future plans. For this year, we've got a couple of things that you or your employees or people that get involved in. So we've got 2 key appeals that we're doing this year for our centenary. Our charity shop in the middle of the village has a small tea room on the front of it. We want to raise £250,000 this year to transform that building. It's a very old building in the centre of the village that forms the centre of the village. It does really well. It's got a really good, loyal customer base, and lots of people have been sort of banging on the door asking when we're going to open back up again after things have eased. We did on Monday, and we had a really good day. So we're going to turn the plan is to turn the front half of the shop into a tea room, into a really nice tea room where you come and have afternoon tea, and a really nicely done out character tea room. And then the back half of the charity shop, where you may have been, you'll note that there are 2 garages where you drop off donations. We're going to knock through into those garages and extend the charity shop into the back half. So there'll be a side entrance into the charity shop and a road entrance into the tea rooms. So that's the plan for that. And the other one is the Lando Wilson Hall, which sits next to it. Opened by the Prince of Wales back in the 30s, built and donated by a chap called Lando Wilson, hence the name of the hall. But it's just looking a bit tired and wants some money spending on it. So this year we're going to raise £150,000 and refurbish that. So that'll be moving the kitchen, making the toilets accessible, sorting the front doors out, sorting out the awful lighting that's in there, because it's like stepping into 1935, and just making it somewhere that people want to go. And then my plan is to just pass control of that over to a community group within Enham Village, and just let the community run it as a community centre, and access it in the way that they should do. And then if you've got 2 minutes to look at our website, I'm not going to go through the details of it, but we've got something called the 100 Challenge running all the way through this year for the centenary. And that can be anything from walking 100 miles, which some people are doing, to baking 100 cupcakes, or whatever it is you fancy doing. There's a whole host of challenges. And we're also putting together 100 stories for 100 years. So if you've had contact with Enham over the last sort of 20, 30, 40 years, and you've got a story to tell that connects you to Enham, then please get in contact with my teams and let them know what that story is. And we'd be happy to include that in the centenary book that we're going to be publishing at the end of the year. So that pretty much sums up, I think, what we do at Enham in sort of a nutshell. It's a really big nutshell, but sort of a nutshell.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. We've put quite a few, I think there might be a couple in the chat box.
Okay.
I was being told about your Kickstart apprenticeships by David Gleave the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I dragged him up to Harmony Woods for a meeting, for a net walk. And, he seemed really appreciative of the fact that you'd enabled those apprenticeships. Something I didn't realise that Enham, could do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the tea room. And Nick has said that he loves the book selection there and often drops off books for the summer.
Thank you.
And buying books he's previously but donated. Ruth has asked, do you still do book binding?
No, we don't. So we used to do the factory that you see on the main road has served a multitude of purposes over the years. It's got a big warehouse behind it now, but the front building, which was the factory and the office buildings, it's on its last legs really. It's propped up, and the concrete's not that great, so it's propped up, and that building's on its last legs. But they used to do bookbinding in there.
Yeah.
And we've still actually got a dormant company called Enham Binders, which
Right.
must have been sort of from the original sort of binding company. But I found out the other month that building also built gliders for the RAF during the Second World War to train pilots with. So it's been used for all sorts. But no, we don't bind books anymore. Or make
Oh, a
canvases.
lot of
It's a real
history
shame.
there.
There's so much history. Yeah, it's quite staggering, really, when you start looking into it. How much has come from that village?
Yeah. I must say the hall, although it's not looked in pretty and good condition, it's a wonderful size, and it's very accessible.
Yeah.
And it must be a wonderful facility, as I've been to loads of parties and events and things there.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and Andover Tree United, who are one of our members, did a marvellous sort of presentation and AGM evening there a couple of years ago. So if it's all done up, that's going to be a lovely facility for the area.
Yes.
And hopefully business and that would use it. And I've been in one of your cafes. So you've actually got two, have you?
Yeah, we've got one up on the main site where the head office is, which we opened last year, which again has been closed. So we've got a cafe up on the main site and then the one in the charity shop. And we've just finished off. Go on, sorry.
Just see Ruth has put, okay, then I have a story about bookbinding to contribute for the 100 stories.
Oh, fantastic.
And Kim has said, not a question, but what a hugely interesting and inspiring talk. So impressed with the work you do and really good to hear about it all. And Kim's agreed and Tara's agreed.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Glad I could help. And if you are looking for space, so while the Lando Wilson's been done, we're just finishing off another building on the main site. It used to be called the Hawkins Suite. We don't know what we're going to call it yet. But it's basically a multifunction space. It's the size of a sports hall. It used to be an office building, and we're just finishing it. It's been finished this week. We've raised £140,000 to refurbish that, and it's a big open space that's marked up as a sports hall. But that's going to have a kitchen, an accessible toilet, and a big sports hall and outdoor area. And that'll be able to be used by the community as well, probably from June onwards. And that's brand new.
Fantastic to know, and I hope that you will come back. You can visit us anytime and come and give us some updates. This is quite an important
to do that.
thing for the area. So that's great. Yeah. Well, thank you.
More than.
Can I just ask, Sue, apart from the furlough scheme,
yes,
has Enham been affected at all by the COVID situation? Has anybody been ill? Has it?
Yeah, so we managed to keep it at bay until January this year. So we managed to have no positive cases at all, even in our care homes. Brilliant. So yeah, we locked down the care homes about a week before the national lockdown in March last year, and we stopped all visitors coming to site. We sent all our staff home. We did about 2 weeks of tech testing to make sure everybody could access things from home, and then we just sent everybody home. And most are still working from home, as am I. I go in about 1 day a week at the moment, sometimes two. And we managed to keep it at bay until that second variant hit in January this year. And then that got into our care homes, and we had 33 staff test positive, a couple end up in hospital, and 13 residents tested positive, and 6 went to hospital and 1 passed away as a result of COVID. So yeah, I'm so impressed with the work the team did over they're still doing, because we've still not opened up completely. But they're just day in, day out with the PPE and doing the things that they had to do to keep everybody safe, and doing outside work, the things that they were doing as well, so they weren't bringing the infection in. So really simple things like if they need to put fuel in their car, they were doing it on the way home rather than the way in. And it just changes to how they worked. And they did such a fantastic job of keeping it out, that it was absolutely gutting when it actually got in. And then there was a really traumatic's probably the right word, probably traumatic month, which was from mid-January to mid-February, where daily I was getting calls saying, we've had another 2 positives, we've got somebody else in hospital, there's somebody else on a 24-hour critical list, we don't know whether they're going to make it. And it was just every day for a month. And by mid-February, I was like, just enough, no more, just stop. But we've not had a positive case now since the 9th of February in any of the care settings. And we had one of our office staff wasn't really suffering any symptoms as such, but sort of bit sniffly and took a test and tested positive and went home about 3 weeks ago. But apart from that, since the 9th, we've been pretty much clear. So touch wood, we're on our way back out the other side of it.
Have we
Doing very
forecasted?
well done,
Have we
because I think
forecasted?
that
Sorry.
that's actually hugely impressive that, you know,
Thank you.
throughout
Yeah,
the
good job.
last year, it wasn't until January. And although it's sad that you did lose somebody, just for one person, actually,
Yeah.
you lost that one person.
Yeah, amazing.
Look at the other situations in large establishments, done really, really well.
It could have been a lot worse. Yeah. Yeah.
Have we forecasted any
Sorry
shows?
for the loss of the one.
I think I was booked onto your show last year, but it was on the same day of the military show. So I donated my stand fee for you, but have we planned a local show this
Oh,
year?
the Village Fete. Yeah, so we're looking at whether we can put that on later in the summer. Our teams are looking at that because we traditionally we've done it since I've been around. So we've done it. We did it June, end of June, beginning of July. But probably if we're going to be able to do it, we're going to talk to the parish council and see if we can get it arranged. For probably late August, I would have thought, early September.
We'll be there, a lot of us, and are you opening up for meetings? So we've done some networking meetings at your place before.
Absolutely.
And also, do you do breakfast there?
We did. So the cafe is a perfect place for that on site. On the main site, we've got a cafe which is part of the resource centre in the main building, and that comes up as a meeting space that also does breakfast.
I'll tell the secretary for our BMI, and we might come to you on a regular basis.
Fantastic.
I can say this because I'm the secretary for the BNI, so I think I could say that for myself actually, or no offence. Just a question with the food. Are you able to cater with people with different eating challenges? Because I'm a celiac vegan.
Bring your own then.
No,
We're having a nice.
that's not how it works.
If we know in advance, we can cater for people.
Brilliant. Okay, that sounds like a plan. We need to talk to each other then.
If there's
don't
a
we?
supplement to it, you'll have to pay extra.
No.
No. We just need to know what you need.
I'm interrupting you, Aubrey. Is it going to take all day?
That's really good. Are there any more questions for Heath about Enham?
No, I think it's a wonderful place and
It's
wonderful
marvellous.
thing you're doing, and having the military. I've seen the statue, obviously being ex-military.
Yeah, likewise. It was really important to me when I started that being ex-military, it was important that we reform those connections. So I've worked quite hard on reforming those connections over the last sort of 4.5 years.
Yeah.
I can see that May has asked a
our business
question.
colours and combined services colours.
Um,
That's why. Sorry,
Heath.
Sue.
We have a question from May.
Yeah.
Is the skill centres are the skill centres only for disabled people?
So the Skills to Achieve centres are for any young people that qualify under that, I suppose, that programme. In terms of skills development on site, when we start working with people on their manual skills and things they want to do and want to create, then absolutely not. No, people can come and get involved.
That's interesting. Actually, May might like to connect with you in some way because she knows all about skills and upgrading them and sharing them, and got some very exciting business things, haven't you, May?
Yeah, it's an area we sort of involved and like to help people in terms of understanding the skill and how to develop it and things like that. So
that'd be great. Yeah. Thank
I'll
you.
make sure that you know, that everybody has, you know, your website, and I presume we can contact you through that, Heath. So that's it.
You can. Yeah, absolutely.
Enham.org, is it? Or
It is, yeah. heath.gunn@enhamtrust.org.uk. So yeah, and by all means jump on the website. I've just seen in the chat, Kat, how did Liz Halls? Sad. I saw that last week on and a colleague of mine. So our director of care is Chris Dixon, who was the CEO of Enham District Main Camp. And I was, so prior to coming to Enham, I was at Southern Health. I was director of learning disability services there, and Liz was one of the governors at the same time as I was a staff governor. So I've spoken to Liz on many occasions. Either she's beating me up for learning disability services sake, which was quite regular, or talking to her in a governor capacity and trying to get the trust to do a better job all round. But yeah, really sad. And yeah, she will absolutely be missed. She was a force to be reckoned with when it came to disability services and learning disability services especially.
okay.
So yeah.
I used to
Right.
work at Andover Day Services, and I knew Liz quite well as well. I was there for 8 years.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, she was quite a formidable lady.
I think it's very sad when you lose somebody, you know, especially somebody like that by the sound of it. But moving on now, we've got another, Kat's just asked if Heath, if you can email her with information. She'll take Aubrey's suggestion to the team. I think that's for the BNI. We do have
Of course we can, yeah.
several people that will come to the MBM meetings, and we've got good connections with other networking groups, including Andover Women in Business Club and other organisations. So information, people are very generous here. They're very willing to share any information they think will help anyone. So that's fantastic. Obviously, people are on that.
You're all very welcome.
So that is really interesting, Heath. Thank you so much. We know that a lot goes on at Enham, but we haven't been lucky enough to have such a good insight into it. So thank you for that. So perhaps you'd like to tell us now about your other hat that you wear and what you get up to.
Absolutely. So I've published 2, shameless plug, 2 crime novels, Prisoner and Calm. So they are, if you like crime novels, and there's a caveat with this one especially, if you like quite gruesome Hannibal-esque crime novels, then that one's for you. If you like gangland crime novels, then Calm's for you. I've written for as long as I can remember, and I'm sort of embarrassed to say that Prisoner, which was my first novel I published in November 2019, actually took 19 years from writing it to getting it published. It took me 3.5 years to write by hand, and then it got shelved because life and stuff took over. Rewrote it 5 times, got it to the point where I was like, right, you need to stop rewriting this now. So I took a course in independent publishing. I learned as much as I could about the traditional publishing world, and I got quite intrigued by indie publishing. And started to talk to a few authors who were crime novelists who published 20, 30 books and are doing really well in that space, and wanted to understand how that worked, because I quite like the control, a bit of a control freak, probably hence the job I do for a day job. And I suppose the control over publishing when I want to publish, and the cover design that I want, and the editorial sort of control that I wanted, rather than a traditional publishing house having that, really appealed. So I did a self-publishing course. There's an author in Salisbury called Mark Dawson who also does a course for independent publishers and authors to publish. And after sort of putting myself through lots of learning and understanding how that worked, I sent the book off to an editor and got a really good editor, a chap called Richard Sheehan, who spent a couple of weeks trawling through my book and came back with something like 12,000 suggested changes, which took about a month to work through. And the volume of changes was phenomenal. I mean, the book is about 90,000 words. But for every comma that he suggested moving, that was 3 comments that I had to work through. So just the process was phenomenal, and the learning was great as well. But once I got to the end of that, I'd also sort of paid a cover designer to design the cover for me, and then just pressed the button after 4 days of angst, hovering my finger over the publish button on Amazon. Finally decided to push the button, and it's done really well. I'm really pleased with how it's done. It's got 4- and 5-star reviews pretty much across the board. I think it's sold about 1,500 copies so far, Prisoner, since it's published, and about 200,000 page reads on Kindle Unlimited. And I'd already started writing Khan, which is my second novel. So Prisoner is a detective murder mystery, if you like. It starts off as it's the victim 3. The arm of victim 3 is fished out of a stream. And then the hunt for this serial killer ensues, and D.I. Lomas Baxter and his team start hunting this serial killer that's abducting, torturing, and murdering and dismembering young women. So yeah, if you're going to keep things going to keep you awake at night, then read Prisoner during the day is my cautionary tale to you.
We don't want to evening then, do we?
No. So yeah, I'd already started Khan, and because I already understood sort of the publishing side of things, it was a lot quicker. And Khan took me, I published that in November last year, so it was exactly a year, give or take a week, from publishing Prisoner. I wrote, edited, sort of redrafted and published Khan in November last year. And again, that's done really well, and I've got some really good reviews on Amazon from that. And again, it's sold, it's heading up towards sort of 700 or 800 copies already, and it's been really well received. And I've just this weekend finished the second draft of the follow-up to Prisoner. So my third novel will be out probably by August this year. And I've got plans on my chalkboard, which you may see on the wall there behind me. That's my tracking chalkboard for my writing. And I've got plans for another 5. I've got 2 started at the moment and plans for another 5 after that. So yeah, I love it. It's a bit of escapism. And yeah, if you fancy reading Khan, that's a gangland crime thriller. They're both set in Southampton. And Khan is a drug dealer, one of the biggest drug dealers in the country, who in the opening chapter, his body gets dumped onto the road out of the back of a Range Rover, and then the book backtracks over the last week of his life until you find out who killed him.
Goodness me.
I get this.
We'll have to get you working harder at your proper job, won't we? You're trying to write these books.
Actually,
Far too much free time.
we have got a question here from Nick, and he is saying, Heath, how do you find the time to write?
Yeah.
So late at night, I write between 10:30 and about 12:30 at night, usually.
Good.
I sit in bed with my laptop, or my other half crashes out. I sit writing, and then weekends I'll do an hour, maybe an hour and a half on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning before the day really gets cracking. And I tend to write between 4,000 and 5,000 words a week.
Well, it sounds scary enough that you'd have to read it during the day and rather than bedtime. I think Robert's books, which are also with the crime, but you've got a lovely dose of humour in yours, haven't you, Robert? So that would be a little bit more like bedtime reading, maybe. But I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm obsessed with like Line of Duty, and Kim's kindly lent me quite a few wonderful thriller type books. So I actually admire you people that can organise yourselves and actually write. That is to find the time, to find the creativity. That is just amazing.
I think it's the discipline of sitting there and actually writing it. The fact that you set aside some time, right, I'm going to go and do that now. It's a second job. But I think I was thinking I might buy a copy of your book and then read it to my grandson, but tonight.
I think we might have frozen then. I'm sorry, everybody. My internet is playing up again.
A quick question for you, if I can just ask, why Southampton?
Well, I live just off the south coast. I live near Hamble, and I joined the Navy when I was 18 and left Yorkshire and came down to the south coast. I was based at Daedalus in Leon-Solent. I've basically moved along this coast for the last 32 years now. So yeah, Southampton as a city to base a detective story in, and to have lots of sort of underground activities going on. It's quite a good setting, and it lends itself to there's a good mix of the rural stuff that New Forest and the sea. You can start to play in a lot of different angles, and the docks are a great place to hide bodies. As are all the leafy woodlands that we've got around. So yeah.
Great.
I know the city well, so it's easy for me to write scenes and stuff like that.
I'm a little bit concerned about how knowledgeable you appear to be about hiding bodies, perhaps.
So my partner basically said, firstly, if she ever goes missing, then they're to talk to me immediately. She's constantly convinced that the police are going to knock on the door at some point and just take me away for my search history. So in the last month, I've researched the purity of street cocaine and the sales value and the mixing compounds, and long-range sniper rifles, ammunition and effective range, and the black market sale of people in the last month. So my search history is quite colourful.
You must have some very good contacts in Southampton to help you with all this.
The internet's a fantastic place.
Great.
That's why they join. Sorry, that's why they join the Navy, because they go off on the ship for 4 months and everyone forgets what they've done. All the investigations are done by the time they come back. 8% of the Navy boys were dodgy. That's why they went off on their ships.
The helicopter engineers were even worse, let me tell you.
My mother and my brother were Navy, so.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That is absolutely fascinating, Heath. You've been such a wonderful speaker today. We've been hanging on your every word, listening with great interest to what you've been telling us. That's been fantastic. So hoping that you're going to stay. And I'm conscious Aubrey's going to be running away shortly because he's got some busy work to be doing. And I didn't know, I thought what we could do is to kick off with our introductions. Thank you, Heath. Are you happy to stay and listen to what some of our members get up to? It'd be fantastic.
That'd be great, yeah.
The whole point of me doing all this is, you know, so that people can make some authentic, genuine connections. And these are truly lovely people we have here. A couple are missing today. Lovely Lucy from Brooklands Interiors, where I got this beautiful blanket. It's the best blanket ever. And who else is not here today? We've got several people missing, but we've got a wonderful crew. Our members are on the Natural Business website as well. So let's just change. I'm just going to change my view so I get everybody in order and don't forget anyone. But we'll start with Aubrey because I know he's got to run away.
Because I talk lots, you can listen to my advert and then I'll say goodbye and speak to you all later.
Do you live with a constant ringing in your ears? Do you struggle to hear everything that's being said in conversations? Then come and talk to your local independent family hearing company, Smith's Hearing Care, because we want to help you get more out of life with better hearing. From hearing aids to wax removal, we offer a range of solutions that could help improve how you hear life. To book a free hearing test, call Andover 332207 or visit smithshearingcare.co.uk.
So guys, if you didn't hear that, book in to come and see me. And yeah, and I do get hassled a lot about, I go to all these business things and I don't get so excited about the business element because it's more vocational for me. And it will grow because we're good at what we do and we're friendly and helpful. And if you haven't got any money, you have to give me a hug or a chocolate donut. If you've got money, unfortunately, you've got to pay for the service. But we're here. It's more vocational for me, but we're growing. Yeah, Aubrey from Smith's Hearing Care. And
thank you, Aubrey. And how are you feeling? How are you feeling today?
Well, I've been for my swim. I went for a 45-minute swim, which was good. And then I sat out in the sun when I came back before I got my ready. So I'm feeling good. And tomorrow, unfortunately, I've got grandfather duties. I've got to go up to Corsham and do grandfather duties. So that'll be my exercise for tomorrow because they'll wear me out.
Oh, that'll be lovely.
Dance coaching with my granddaughter who's 6, and she just likes to do 360 flips. I'm trying to get her to wiggle and turn properly, and then she puts her feet on my belly and she does a 360 flip. And of course, if I'm dressed up, I've got foot marks on me. So we'll give them a little bit of discipline up there because my son's he's military, but he's busy, so I said I'd do it. So yeah, no, but I'm feeling all right.
Good.
As the kids say, I'm an old biff. I'm an old biff now, but I'll keep going.
Fantastic.
And I've got my first squash session as well, but I'll go train on my own before I start playing matches. But hey guys, always lovely to see you. And I will, well, might see some of you walking in the woods or doing some stuff like that. But
lovely.
If not, Mia, I'm happy to get a call from you tomorrow if you want to chat to me. Yeah.
Fantastic.
All chatting in the daytime, nothing past 11 o'clock at night, though. So that's a bit weird. All right then. Hey guys, thank you.
Take care, Aubrey. Bye for now. Thank you.
You'll see us at Enham. No question about that. All right then, guys. Take care, all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Ruth, would you like to go next?
Oh, yes. All right. Am I on the right bit of the screen? Yes. Can you hear?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
We can hear you, hopefully.
Right, I'm Ruth. I'm an artist, a jeweler and several other things. And I'm still doing that, even though officially I've retired from making and teaching jewellery. COVID and arthritis put paid to that. But out of the sort of chaos heap of that left me with, I'm making again. And I had a lovely order from a previous customer for a baby rattle. Now, you don't see many baby rattles like this. And because you're a special group, I'm going to show you a piece of jewellery half made. It's on its way to be polished. I don't know if any of you watched All That Glitters on telly this week. Birmingham School of Jewellery was doing one of the sort of bake-off kind of sessions with people making jewellery under pressure with incredible results. Mind you, I could teach them a few techniques that would make things easier, but I've got here a half-polished baby rattle. And it looks like this, a little rattle, and it has three, I mean, my hands make it it's rather a long process, but I've got all the bits for this rattle and another rattle, and I can get the bits made up. So if there are any orders for little babies, I'm your gal. And there are three, can you see that coming up? There are three pendant bits with silver beads, and I also put in a birthstone bead. Now this little creature was born in May, and that is an emerald. And I'm actually not quite tearing my hair, but I'm trying to find a good quality emerald beads, because some of them just look like chalk, because I mean they're not the highly polished brilliant stone, they're little round things, and they don't put the high quality materials into those beads on the whole. So I'm trundling around on the internet to suppliers that I haven't used for ages to get emerald beads. I'm nearly there. 8mm emerald bead, but all the rattles have this form, and they also have a tiny little ring in them, so that the thing can be worn as a pendant. So it has longevity built into it, and they're all different, totally different. And I've got customers going back many years. The first one was designed and made for the night before my daughter was 1, and she's 45 this month. So I've got the total history of these things, and this white finish, it's very difficult. Yeah, you can see it's completely white. It'll go into a tumble polisher with loads of stainless steel little round balls and shapes, and come out shiny, and then go on. There's a lot of work, and my hands don't make it very easy to do very much of this, but I love this piece. And this is going to somebody who's already had, well, it's their 6th grandchild. I don't think I've made 6 rattles for them, but I've certainly made 2. So it's a lovely continuity. And in a way, it's very like Heath was saying about adjusting ways of working when you have a disability. So I have a disability, which has wrecked my hands, but it hasn't stopped me making, because I can do things. I can just about do things. So I'm really happy, but I've been operating a job realignment program for myself for the last 2 years. And I also this week made a marvelous, well, for me, it's marvelous, it's a prototype for some brand new stuff. So I'm really pleased with what I've done. And we'll see how it goes. It's slow nurturing little tiny shoots that are coming up, but I know that the rattle might be finished by next week. It depends how I get on with the emerald people, but I will show it to you again, because showing something half made can be problematic, because but it shows you the processes. So there's a lot of work going in, and All That Glitters is a very interesting program. I was jumping up and down. It was lovely, because City of Birmingham Jewellery School is one of the best. So that's what I'm doing, engaged in rescheduling my working, sustainable to deal with, what's happened. But I was delighted this week, having had a tough week for various reasons, which don't matter now. But to come up with brand new things. And the brand new thing, I won't show you at the moment because it is a bit eccentric, but it's really fun.
Good.
So there's me having rearranged my working practices and feeling pretty good. And I went for a walk first thing this morning. I thought I'm not going to waste the morning. So I went off this morning and there were 2 buzzards circling slowly up high on the way back. So I'll keep going and I'll pop up next week and hopefully have the rattle finished.
Oh, that's exciting, Ruth. I'm very pleased that you've got back into that, and they look like beautiful family heirlooms. You know, that.
Well, they are, and I've got a book that tracks all my customers for baby rattles, and it's a long time.
Oh, that's wonderful news, and I'm glad you're feeling good. That's great. Thank you so much.
It's great. Okay.
So lovely. May, would you like to go next? Tell us what you do and your news and how you're feeling.
I said, my name is May. I'm not based in Hanover. I'm really in Fleet, so it's quite interesting for me to hear these different parts of Hampshire. Although I did work with a company had a branch in Hanover. I can't remember the address, but it was in a converted barn outside Hanover. So I don't really know. But anyway, I did hear about the charity Enham from friends before. I thought that would be quite interesting to hear Heath sort of telling us the charity. For myself, I say I'm from Elusio, the social enterprise, and we have product and services to help people find a way from educations and sort of learning, training into employment and lifelong learning. We do it through our website, and then we have a career road mapping tool called iShine. And I also help in sort of job clubs. I think that's what my interest is well about skill center, because I sort of do quite a bit down in Aldershot area. And before we locked down, we were working with school. But one of the areas that we quite like to help to promote is very much like STEM projects like science, engineering, because I especially girls and things like that. That is area that we sort of quite keen and quite passionate about helping. And that was one area that we're working. But with the lockdown, so we were just concentrating on our iShine and then our projects. What we're doing is, because when we started, one of the things in the mastermind classes, Susan, you're aware of, we had a sort of long journey in trying to talk to people who've been sort of affected, trying to understand the landscape, employment landscape. So we talked to obviously students and then talk to the unemployed and things. And the one thing that came across is very much like, in addition to helping them to develop the skill, they have also have this well-being support. So that's why we have started to work with, in addition to work with sort of people like stress management and career advisors. So we're bringing them together as an offer, and that is what we've been doing. I've been doing it for this week, and we'll be doing for the next few weeks. Oh. So that is how we are managing at the moment.
That's fantastic.
I'm feeling good.
I'm so pleased to hear it. We can't feel good all the time, but it's great to have some areas where you are feeling good. But that's interesting. You're looking at people as a whole, aren't you, there? You're not just looking at the skills they're developing or trying to define that they need. You're actually looking at the whole person, which has got to be a good thing. That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
That's interesting as well, because we've been contacted, or we've made a connections with a blind person who is a coach. So it's interesting talking about disability. Yeah. And I think it'd be interesting to see how it works out. But I think there was areas that I think can sort of include in our service to help people.
Yeah, that's inclusive. That's really good. Thank you so much, May. Lovely.
Thank you.
So we will move on to Nick. Would you like to go next?
Sorry, just so enwrapped with what I was listening to. Hello, everybody. Good morning to you. My name's Nick Butler. I'm a financial advisor. I'm just going to post my details so that you can make a note, and I'll be expecting phone calls and emails almost immediately. Last week, I don't know if you guys can all look outside and see the sunshine. It's absolutely glorious, isn't it? And I was whipping on last week about how much I like the spring. Because the spring lets you start all over again. The trees fill up with leaves and buds and flowers, and the garden gets ready and you start planning. And I was drawing an analogy about how you can do that and look at also at your financial planning. What you plant today, you'll reap tomorrow. And my role is managing your wealth today for tomorrow. And tomorrow could be literally the next day, or it might be next year, or 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 years on, if you're lucky to be young enough, Sonia. But if you look outside at the moment, although the sun is shining, it's damn cold. It's damn cold. So the seeds that you're throwing out are just dying. And exactly the same in financial services. Life is unpredictable. Life is horrendously unpredictable. Before we get to how I feel, the answer's knackered. I've had an extraordinarily tough month. I'm really looking forward to getting away this weekend and going and seeing one of my sons and his spouse and grandson, and just chilling for a while. All sorts of strange things have happened in the family and with clients as well. Unpredictable events, and that's why when I put together a plan for a client, it's flexible and it will respond. And it means that we spread our assets across a mixture of property, a mixture of cash, short-term money, long-term money, and intermediate money. You plan for today, you plan for tomorrow, and you plan for the future, the 3 T's. Also, when you are going out to the supermarket, you can buy your bag of sugar in a variety of different sizes, but maybe you don't want a big bag or a small bag, you want something in between, but it's not on the shelf. When you come to me, I can design a product that actually matches what you want. I can tailor it using various techniques to match your particular circumstances. So when I say I offer, excuse me, when I say I offer bespoke services, that's exactly it. It's tailored to you to try to assess what you've got, what you need, where you're going, how we can get there, and how we can afford it. So that's my pitch for today. It's the sun is shining, bloody cold.
So you sound perky, which is great.
Well, yeah.
And I know that you've helped a lot of people have good peace of mind regarding their finances. And I know you've been doing this for quite some time, so they're in safe hands, which is brilliant.
What are you suggesting? Are you suggesting I'm as old as I look? Oh, by the way, do you appreciate the really professional haircut? Doesn't that make a difference?
You know what? I nearly said, oh, and you've had a haircut. And I thought, no, don't say that.
Most important appointment of the year.
Yeah, you're looking very swish. Very nice. Thank you so much, Nick.
If Kim's coming to speak next, she's not allowed to talk about what happened on Saturday morning.
Oh, we're waiting to hear about that then. Actually, we've got the lovely Tara to go next. Thank you, Nick. Would you like to do your thing, Tara? And Tara, you'd be proud of me. See the yellow pots behind me? They were
wondering what
Norwex washing powder, and they were dried with Norwex microfiber cloth. And what they are is I do a bit of volunteering with Andover Trees United, and those little pots, they've given us all pots to wash, ready to have the little tree whips planted in them. So that was my little bit of contribution today, and Norwex helped me. So thank you, Tara.
Oh, you're welcome. And I'm so pleased to hear that. And it's lovely actually to hear that, because knowing where they're going and what they're going to be doing, knowing that they've not touched a harmful chemical is going to help them in their next home, isn't it? Because if they're going to be trying to grow things in there, you don't want to be putting anything in there that they don't need, do you? So that's brilliant. Thank you. And I was so intrigued as to what they were. So I'm glad you told us. So, good morning, lovely people. It is indeed a beautiful morning out there. I haven't actually ventured out yet. I have been trying to go out this week for like early morning walks, and I've managed it a couple of times this week, but not yet today. So it'll be later. So I don't know how cold it is yet, but thank you for warning me, Nick. I have to wear my hat and scarf. Anyway, haircut. Yes, I managed to get squeezed in yesterday, Tuesday, so that was quite nice. Anyway, business, what do I do? Well, hopefully, as Sue has introduced you to, the majority of you obviously know because we've connected before. Heath, you may well not have a clue what I do apart from talk a lot, which is evident. So I help people reduce harmful chemicals in their home by introducing you to products that do the work, products that work with just water, so you don't need the harmful chemicals. And obviously this is beneficial to not only your health and your family's health, but it's also better for the planet because you're not tipping things down the drain, putting things in the bin to landfill, and it covers so many good things for me. So Norwex is the company I work for. It's a Norwegian company whose mission is to improve quality of life by radically reducing chemicals in your home. So if that's something that interests you, I would love to chat. I know many of you lovely people have already been introduced to various bits of Norwex. Just letting you know that I am this week doing some interesting stuff on laundry and looking at what's in your, maybe in the shop bought laundry products, and also how Norwex can help. And then next week, just to let you all know, it is World Earth Day on Wednesday. So I'm going to be doing some sustainability posts during the week next week. So if you want to catch up with me, I've got an event going on. I've actually got a Zoom tonight all about laundry. If anybody wants to join me, I'm happy to send you the link for that. But yeah, hop on next week, find out how Norwex can help you be more sustainable, because it's something we all need to think about. Thank you very much, everybody.
And you're obviously feeling pretty bubbly and good, which is great. Thank you, Tara.
The sunshine definitely helps.
Yeah, lovely to see you here today. Okay, would Kim like to go next?
Hey, thank you, Sue. Hi, everyone. Lovely to see you. Hi, Heath. Nice to meet you. And I have to say again, what a fabulously interesting talk. Living only a few miles down the road from Enham, I am ashamed that I knew so little about it. So thank you for that. Also, I'm incredibly jealous. I've got to wait till the 28th of April for a haircut. Can't come soon enough, but never mind. The way time's going, it'll be here before we know it. Right, on the PA side, work continues, which is good, catching up over a huge backlog over the past months when I haven't been there, but that's all positive stuff. Serendipity, great day on Monday. Shipton opened to the public again, woohoo! And so did Wick Vintage. And I feel very badly that I've not really mentioned Wick a great deal over the past weeks, but just to remind, I do have a cabinet there as well, and that's a new vintage shop which opened back in the beginning of December. That's based up on Base Point. I feel very badly for Rebecca actually, because I popped in on Tuesday to say hello and just sort of, you know, touch base. And I'd just like to mention that they are actually going to have what she's calling a sort of an opening launch around the 23rd of April, because although having opened in December, it was really a bit of a damp squib being in between, even with Christmas falling between lockdowns, etc. So I think she's going to start with a vengeance from sort of the 23rd. It is open at the moment if you fancy popping by, but there is that event happening. And I think it could be quite an interesting little place to visit, because now La-di-da that used to be in town is now relocated to Base Point, and that's a couple of doors down from Wick. And there's also the lovely is it Peabody Coffee, Sue?
Peaberry, Gerald Fitzgerald.
Sorry,
Peaberry coffee. Lovely coffee.
So one can go and buy some lovely coffee as well. So it might be worth a visit at some point. Shipton, great. It's open. They took quite a bit of money on the first day. None of my sales, sadly, but most people are heading for garden stuff at the moment, which is hardly surprising because, you know, we are allowed to congregate in gardens now for 6 people, and I think everyone's probably taking a look after the window. Oh my goodness, look at that garden. We can't have anyone round until we've done it up. But so I'm hoping that things will improve, and as people get more comfortable with coming out and having a mooch, that, you know, business will just get better and better, not just at Shipton and Whitewick, but, you know, all over, for all small businesses everywhere. It's been a tough ride over the last year, so fingers crossed that things will improve. As for me, yeah, fine, slightly up and down week, but I'm very excited that I've got a landscape contractor starting on Monday, to clear out the front of the house. Those of you that know it, it's full of shrubs, which are going to be cleared away, and I'm going to have a fence put round, and it's going to look really nice, a much better curb appeal. As Nick opened the door, that I can mention, he actually came out to steal some shrubs on Saturday morning. That's what he was referring to. And I could be really nice and not mention it, but I'm not like that. So he did have one slight amusing incident in trying to pull out a shrub where he ended up on his backside, but I have to say did slide very gracefully to the floor and luckily didn't hurt himself. So yeah, but I'm really looking forward to that. It'll be a great asset to have the front of the house sort of opened up and looking neat and tidy, rather than the day of the Triffids it is at the moment. Yeah, but apart from that, yes, all positive, hopefully moving forward. And how can we be gloomy when the sun is shining? Thanks very much.
Thank you, Kim. Yes, Kim's lovely. She does personalised etched glass and many other things, and lots of treasure Kim can supply.
I can't wait to be able to go on treasure hunts again. You know, when we're free to roam, yeah, I can go and buy new treasures to tempt everybody with. That will be very exciting and lovely, and possibly even have a pub lunch while we're out. My goodness.
Thank you so much, Kim. That's lovely. Robert, would you like to go next? I think you're we could hear you, couldn't we, earlier? So yes, tell us what you've been up to.
Well, as I always say, I feel a bit of a fraud in these things because I'm the only one that has nothing at all to offer anybody.
That's not true.
Yeah, well, you used to speak to my ex-wife as well. She'll say that, and my parents. Yeah, I start a new job on Monday. I'm working for financial services. My last job as an IT contractor who doesn't know how to get his computer to work was at Vodafone, which I absolutely hated. I've been there a couple of times before, absolutely hated it. So the new job hopefully will be a bit better. And as you said earlier, and I couldn't reply because I didn't have my sound sorted out, the first 2 books I wrote for Heath's benefit, because everyone else has heard me banging on about these for the last year. 6 Idiots Witness a Murder. With a title like that, it's obviously a comedy. And 6 Idiots Witness a Robbery. Unlike you, I did mine in double quick time because I was bored during the pandemic. My work finished and I had absolutely nothing to do sitting here alone. So I just knocked them both out in a few months. And I've self-published them on Amazon. I'm trying to get a proper publisher and trying to get them turned into a movie if I can, which would be great. So if anyone wants to be my +1 to the Oscars next year or the year after, that would be great. But apart from that, just enjoying the weather. I've had some various flooding issues in my house recently with a couple of burst radiators and an overflowing toilet. So I'm waiting for the carpet people and the flooring people to come and redo the whole of the ground floor. And I bought myself a car and accidentally got myself a personalised number plate in the bargain.
Fantastic.
To me, which is like, well, you had very little choice in lockdown of cars, and there's only a couple of small dealerships in Andover. I just needed something to start my new job on Monday because they want me to go to get my laptop, to get a laptop and login details in Petersfield. So I just looked around and found a car which had a similar number plate to my name, and I thought, oh, the personalised number plate, I'll have that. So
Meant
if you
to
see me
be.
driving around in a little black Honda, which looks as if it's got my name on the back, it was a complete accident, but personalised number plate. So that is my exciting news, and I'm just really, you just mark time. I mean, those of us that have been off and on will work over the last year. You're just plodding through. And yeah, I went to Basingstoke the other day and took advantage of Debenham's 70% off sale and filled my boots with t-shirts and jeans and stuff. You just want things to get back to normal for all the local businesses. I mean, and the big ones. We hear about Debenhams and all of that going bust, and Philip Green's and Nest of Vipers that he used to run, and Arcadia. But it's all the small businesses as well, all the people that are, the serendipities of this world and all the others.
Thank you.
So I can't wait to get back and start spending my money in the local shops as well, because we need both. We can't survive on local shops, and we can't survive on multiples. We do need that bit of quirkiness, so you can go to Marks and Spencer's and your white shirt and your black trousers and your black shoes, but you can then go to La Di Da and get something unusual and quirky for the backyard. So yeah, looking forward to things opening up and being able to catch up with people for a coffee or a beer at some point.
Yeah, I think we're all, it's going to be an absolute joy, isn't it? I have my first client. I do a beauty business as well, and I had my first client back on Tuesday, and it was so exciting, to actually see them and to have a proper catch up, in the same room. Although you have to wear your masks and take all the precautions and everything, it was a joy. But so I'm glad things are good, Robert, and that there is work coming your way, and that you've got a shiny new car. That's all great. Right, lovely, thank you. Sonia, would you like to go next?
Hello. I was thinking about Robert and his new car. That'll be in another book, I'm sure, about this new number plate and everything.
No doubt.
Lovely to see you all. And I had to giggle when Kat walked out because it looked like she was going into the abyss because she's got this artificial screen. Thank you also to Heath as well for the talk. It was very interesting, and I wanted just to say quickly that I used to work for Preston Disc and Preston People First in 2000 and, or when was it, 2003 to 2007. And this was the point where they were shutting down the day centres, and the government were implementing the plans to get people with learning difficulties more integrated into society and accessing services. So we used to have this massive boardroom meeting with all the services where they could never make a decision. But I supported people with learning difficulties to attend the meetings, and then had to make all the information accessible for the people that attended with the learning difficulties to go to the different day centres and houses to share this information with the wider community. So it's great to see how the work you're doing and how it has moved forward so much since then, basically. So that was brilliant. About what I do, I've got a poem actually, I'm just adapting it a little bit. It says, have you ever dreamed of having more hours in the day, of doing less work and having more time to play, of a house that is clean when you get in from work, or a life free from tackling dust and dirt? Enough of mopping, scrubbing and dishes. I know some pixies who can grant you these wishes. So sit down, relax and pick up the phone. Don't touch the mop and leave the bleach alone. One call to us and say goodbye to cleaning. Time for you will soon have your home gleaning. Hey. So that's what I do basically.
That was lovely.
I thought it might be a bit of a change. So yeah, so domestic cleaning and commercial cleaning. I used to clean for a person in Enham, Maine, one of the flats there as well, a little while ago. Well, one of my cleaners did. So I know the area, and the charity shop is my favourite charity shop, I have to say. I love that charity shop. I've got so much stuff from it that I bought. I love just having a route around. Otherwise, sun is shining, which is lovely. The most walking, I know some other people said they haven't been doing the walking I've done. I've walked from the house to the garden bin, which isn't great actually, so I do need to get out a bit more. And with the shops opening as well, I'm hoping to pick up some bargains like Robert said with Debenhams as well, but it'll probably be all gone by the time I get there. But it would be good to have a look. Base Point as well. Every time you said about Base Point, sorry, I have to confess, I thought you were saying Face Point. So I've been writing Face Point down, which is really so I am going to go over there and have a look at some point. I know Tara said about walking up there as well for when they're coffee tasting, so that would be fab. And yeah, otherwise pretty good. That's me, pretty much. Give me a call if you want any cleaning.
Thank you so much. That's all good to hear, and thank you for the poem. I know we often get a treat from Kat with poetry or music and other creative things, so I'm glad to see someone else is doing the creative bit along with our Ruth and obviously other people. So Kat, last but not least, would you like to go next?
Jumping in, I'm really sorry not to miss you, but I've got to go. I've got a meeting just about 3 minutes away. Sorry, my lovely. Lovely to see everybody, but got to go.
Nick.
Take care.
Bye, Nick.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Sonia, you could take that beautiful poem and put it into Lumen 5 and it would instantly be a film. It'd be perfect. Robert, as long as it's not dark blue, I'm quite happy for you to drive your car around with your nameplate on. If it's a dark blue car, then I might be a bit different. And actually happened. Just made me. Your description of the murderer in your first book just left me in stitches last night. My name's Kat Randall. I am doing 3 things at the moment. Never one for sitting very still. My basic thing that I do. I too am an author, but I'll talk about it later. I run Kiru Media. Kiru Media is takes care of social media coaching and also providing social media services. And I'm just about to launch a new service, which I'm calling Pick and Mix, because majorly when people have social media, sometimes they need like an Enham, they need a great big spectrum of things, but sometimes you just need one thing for a week, for a month. So I've set up a system where you can actually come in and you can choose what you want for your social media, and you can have as much as you want or as little as you want. And I'm putting a film together for that, and I'll have that to show you next week. The other thing I do is I'm representing A-Fest at the moment, and A-Fest, and Heath, this is what I'd like to ask you a question about that in a minute. A-Fest is a festival, and it will be online again this year. If we can, we'll try and do a high street in September. And what we do is we promote organisations that support the youth from 5 to 18. And so this is where my question comes through to you, Heath, because as an organisation, the Test Valley Borough Council sponsors us so that you can promote yourself for free. Do you have offerings for youngsters from 5 through to 18?
Yes, we do.
Well, then we need to get you promoted on A-Fest because you get to do it for free.
Absolutely. No, that sounds fantastic. Yeah.
I've sent you through an email because, Aubrey's right. We are looking for a space for BNI, and it is something I'm looking at. So I've sent you through an email. So if you can reply to that, let's get together and have a chat and see what we can do. Because
absolutely.
And what I'll do is I'll put a thing in the slot, because Andover and District Mencat have been promoting, their brilliant drama, my brilliant drama group, and what their offerings is. But the more the merrier, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great.
No problemo. For those of you who aren't an organisation but would like to support us, we have a business sponsorship. I finally have a shiny thing to send you, which I am going to be doing in the next couple of days. So I'm going to send an email through. And you have a choice of us promoting the heck out of you, which I've started doing. You might have noticed, Nick and Sonia. Thank you very much for your liking on LinkedIn. And I will be promoting everybody who sponsors us, because that's my area. I'm looking after the business services up until A-Fest. But the other thing about it is that it will sit there for a year, building interest and having people watching you. So if you're part of the day. We had 500, and I'm aiming for a little bit more this time. But bit by bit, we get about 10 likes and views every month. So it's growing and growing and growing. So it's well worth thinking about. how am I? I took a train trip to open a bank account in Basingstoke yesterday, which was wild and surreal at the same time. I really liked getting on the train. And being me, I was late. So I got a cup of tea. The station, Andover station gave me a cup of tea. When I got to the bank, they gave me a cup of tea. What I couldn't get my head around was people lining up to get into Primark. Like there was a queue that literally went right down through the mall and out and onto the street and then beyond. It was just phenomenal. I'm very, very glad that we're vaccinated. I'm also very, very glad that COVID doesn't do very well in the heat. And I'm also very excited because I've taken a punt and I'm putting my house on the market.
Ooh,
The lodger I've got is only going to be with me for 3 months until she moves into her new house. But I've had a look at the house price, and the prices are going up because there's lots of people who really want to move and not enough houses and the stamp duty. So I thought, okay, let's go for it. And I've got to make a decision in 2 weeks to coming around to do photographs. So if any of you would like to help me in my garden in the next couple of weeks, I'd really love to see you.
They might want to come
but I just kind of need.
They might want to come and raid your plants like Nick has done to Kim's garden.
Yeah, I know. I've got this beautiful hellebore that would really love to have a nice place to live. I've got some, Tara, you can have the hellebore. I've got fantastic, beautiful little plants growing up all over the place, and now's the time to come and dig them out because it's spring, and I'd be more than happy for you to come and dig stuff out. The stuff in pots, not so much, because I'm actually selling them because girls got to eat. But yeah, no, the hellebore especially because it was a gift from my husband for one of my birthdays, so I'd really like it to go to a friend who would look after it and love it.
Oh, that's
so
lovely.
yeah.
So how are you feeling?
No, I'm still on.
Dare I ask?
How am I feeling?
Yes.
Yeah, you can. I'm feeling a lot better. Thumbs up. I'm feeling a lot better.
Great.
I got hold of the net. Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It is really good to see you all here today. Just a reminder, you can whip up to Peaberry Coffee up in Base Point. Check out Kim's goodies in the shop that's only 2 doors away. And you can get a free sample if you go up to Gerald and say, I'm coming to the NBN meeting. He's actually presenting to us and speaking to us on the 29th. And you can pop up and get your free roasted coffee sample from him on the Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday that week of the 29th. So I think that'd be interesting. He's a lovely character, Gerald. And his coffee is gorgeous. Also, the hot chocolate he does, I can thoroughly recommend it. So I think he's open from 8:30 till 3:30. I've been busy on the mastermind course. Like May said, this is something that's run via some of the university lecturers from Winchester Uni and a wonderful lady called Liana who runs something called the Inspiration Space. So I've actually been looking at possibilities of virtual business fairs and all kinds of things like that. And my head is full of information that I don't understand yet, but I'm trying very hard to do so. But I think that a lot of the virtual things are here to stay. We will get back to physical meetings and play and fun, but I think we have got to follow through thoroughly with our virtual activities. So I'm definitely keeping these 2 Zoom meetings. They were supposed to be on a Thursday, 7:30 a breakfast and 10 o'clock a coffee. But because it's working well, I'm not going to change this. This will run forevermore. One at 7:30, one at 10. But I will be adding some additional meetings in eventually. We will have opportunity for networking in the evening, lunchtime, and tea time as well, because I want to be able to include the people that have to be busy in the day. I know that, they sometimes require an evening meeting. I know a lot of the mums like to have things that they can attend before the mums and the dads and whoever's looking after the children, before the children come out of school, to make sure that people like that aren't excluded from promoting their businesses and sharing their news around. So that is all good. It sounds like we've had a very positive meeting. Thank you so much again, Heath, for coming and talking to us. And I hope that there'll be some useful connections maybe enabled, with May, with the skills, and Kat, and all of you. It's some common kindred spirits and writers here. So it's all really fantastic. So is there any other news or anything else that anyone would like to share before we finish? And don't forget to save the chat window conversation with the 3 little dots next to the file icon. I'm just doing that because I'd forgotten. But thank you very much for being here, everybody. Anything else that we need to check out? Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and that it's productive with your business and your play. So take care, everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Heath, as well. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.